The ocean was darker than any human eye had seen, stretching endlessly into black silence. Only the lights from the divers' suits pierced the gloom, their beams cutting through the thick water like knives. Captain Alina Voss led the expedition, her heart steady even as the pressure of the deep pressed against the hull of their submersible. Around her, the team of divers followed in precise formation, each movement measured, each breath controlled. The shipwreck lay ahead, known only by its whispered name, the Erebus. It had been lost for decades, swallowed by the sea without a trace. Its disappearance had puzzled scientists for years. Official records claimed it had vanished during a violent storm, yet some inconsistencies remained. Strange signals had been recorded in the area around the time of its disappearance, signals that no one had ever decoded. Alina had made it her mission to explore the wreck. As the team approached, the silhouette of the Erebus appeared through the darkness. Rusted metal sheets jutted outward, torn and twisted, as if the ship had been clawed by some giant creature. The hull was cracked in many places, but the shape was still recognizable, a massive vessel, once proud and strong, now lying silent in the abyss. Alina's light swept across the surface, revealing the barnacles and coral clinging stubbornly to the wreck, painting it with the colors of life, even in the heart of death. "Team, stay close." Alina's voice came through the comms. "We don't know what we might find inside. Stick to protocol and stay alert." "Yes, Captain," Milo replied, his voice steady but betraying a hint of excitement. Milo was the youngest of the divers, but his skill with the submersible's sensors made him invaluable. Beside him, Rhea adjusted her suit's lights, her eyes reflecting a mixture of awe and nervous anticipation. The moment they touched the wreck, the water seemed to shift differently around them. Currents swirled through the broken sections of the hull, tugging gently at their suits. Milo's instruments began to hum softly, picking up faint vibrations that seemed too regular to be random. "Do you feel that?" Milo whispered, his voice tight. "It's almost like something is moving inside the ship." Alina frowned. "No life signs, Milo. It's just the wreck settling. Keep focused." But even as she spoke, a sharp knocking echoed through the water. It was faint at first, almost indistinguishable from the sound of metal creaking under pressure. Then it came again, stronger, steady, like someone was tapping a rhythm on the ship's inner wall. The team froze, lights swinging to follow the source. What was that?" Rhea's voice was a whisper of fear. Alina's jaw tightened. "Stay calm. We'll investigate. Keep your instruments on. Don't panic." The knocking came again, louder this time, resonating through the hull. Milo's sensors picked up a pattern. "It's too regular to be natural," he said, voice low. "This isn't just the ship settling. Something is responding." Alina swallowed hard. "Or it's a trick of the currents. Either way, we proceed carefully." The team entered the wreck through a gap in the starboard hull. Inside, the water was darker, colder, and strangely still. The walls were covered in rust and sediment, and the occasional flash of fish eyes reflected their lights. The corridors twisted unpredictably, some leading to dead ends, others opening into larger rooms that had once been the heart of the ship. The knocking followed them, echoing through the metal corridors, growing louder as they moved deeper. Each sound seemed deliberate enough to make every diver's heart race. "Keep your distance," Alina instructed. "No one wanders off alone." Milo drifted slightly behind, his instruments scanning the walls. "Captain, the knocking is coming from multiple points now. It's like the ship itself is alive." Alina's hand tightened on the control lever. "Don't anthropomorphize it, Milo. It's just metal, water, and pressure. Focus on the sensors." Yet even as she said this, a sudden vibration shook the corridor, strong enough to rattle their lights. A section of the wall groaned as if in response to the vibrations. Rhea gasped. Did the ship just move?" Alina held up a hand to calm her. "It's probably structural. Keep moving." They reached the first large chamber, once the ship's main cargo hold. The room was filled with scattered debris, broken crates, and the skeletal remains of what appeared to be supplies left decades ago. Milo drifted close to one corner, scanning with a small drone. The lights revealed nothing alive, yet the knocking continued, now echoing all around them. "This is impossible," Milo muttered. "There's nothing here." But the sound keeps coming. It's like it knows we're here. On Creator. Knows we're here. On Creators we're here. Knows we're here. On Creators we're here. Knows we're here. Knows we're here. On Creators we're here. Alina frowned. She studied the walls, the ceiling, and the floor. There was no visible source. Nothing should be making that sound. She felt a chill despite the thermal regulation in her suit. "Let's mark this room," she said finally. "We'll map it and move on. Keep communication open. If anyone sees anything unusual, report immediately." As they moved deeper into the ship, they began to notice other strange things. Tools left behind by previous expeditions were perfectly aligned, almost as if someone had placed them there intentionally. Crates that should have collapsed under decades of water pressure remained upright. And the knocking. It persisted, never fading, always somewhere ahead of them. At one point, Milo paused, staring at a section of the wall. "Captain, look at this." Alina swam over. In the rusted metal, faint scratches formed a pattern, letters or symbols that were almost erased by time. None of them recognized the writing, yet the scratches seemed deliberate. "It could be from the original crew," Rhea said quietly. "Or something else." Alina's mind raced. Could the crew have left a message? Or was this another trick of the ocean? Some strange natural phenomenon? Her instincts told her that whatever it was, it had waited decades to be discovered. They entered a narrow corridor leading to what appeared to be the lower decks. The knocking grew louder here, synchronized, almost like a heartbeat. Milo's instruments began to spike, readings off the charts. "I don't like this," Rhea whispered. "It's watching us." Alina ignored the shiver running down her spine. "Stay sharp. Observe. Don't react. We record everything." The divers moved carefully, lights reflecting off the walls. Suddenly, a strong current surged through the corridor, pushing them back. Alina fought to stabilize herself, her hand gripping the railing. Milo's drone spun wildly in the current, lights flashing erratically. "What was that?" Milo shouted. "Structural collapse," Alina said firmly. "Keep moving. Stay focused." Then the knocking stopped. For a moment, there was nothing but silence and the sound of their own breathing through the suits. The sudden absence of sound was worse than the knocking itself. The tension in the water was palpable. Every diver felt it, a quiet fear that crawled under their skin. A faint glow appeared at the end of the corridor. Alina led the way, heart pounding. They entered a chamber, larger than any room they had seen so far. Broken machinery floated in the water. And in the center, a hatch remained sealed. The knocking emanated from behind it, rhythmic and deliberate. "This is it," Milo said, voice trembling slightly. "This is where it's coming from." Alina approached the hatch cautiously. She pressed her hand against the metal. The vibrations traveled through her suit, through her bones. It was almost alive, as if the ship itself were conscious of their presence. "Should we open it?" Rhea asked, voice barely audible. Alina paused. The knocking had a strange quality, almost welcoming yet warning at the same time. She knew the decision they made here could change everything. "We document first," Alina said finally. "We don't touch anything yet, but we need to understand what's inside." Milo's drone floated closer to the hatch, scanning for structural integrity and any hidden mechanisms. As it approached, the knocking grew louder, faster, almost as if it were anticipating the drone's presence. Then, as the drone touched the hatch, the knocking stopped. Silence filled the chamber. The divers exchanged uneasy glances. Something about the silence was heavier, almost suffocating. Alina took a deep breath, forcing calm into her voice. "Everyone, stay together. We move carefully. Record everything. The moment we act recklessly could be the last mistake we ever make here. They prepared to explore further, knowing the secrets of the Erebus were waiting behind the hatch. Whatever had caused the knocking had waited decades, and now it had chosen to reveal itself to humanity. As the team readied their equipment, Milo glanced at Alina. "Captain, do you think anyone else ever made it this far?" "One." Alina shook her head slowly. "Not alive. And if we survive, we'll make history." The chamber remained silent, the darkness pressing in, and the knocking, for now, had gone. But every diver knew it was only a matter of time before the ship revealed more of its secrets. The adventure had begun, and nothing about the Erebus would ever be ordinary again. The divers stared at the hatch, its surface cold and unyielding in the dim light of their suits. Silence hung over the chamber, thick and heavy, as if the Erebus itself was holding its breath. Milo floated closer, checking the drone's readings. Every instrument on his console spiked and faltered, then settled back down. But the pattern was irregular, almost like the ship was testing them. "Captain," Milo said cautiously, "the hatch isn't locked in the normal way. Pressure readings suggest it's sealed from the inside. But there's no mechanical lock. It's almost organic." Alina frowned, her hand resting on the railing. "Organic? We're talking about metal and rust, Milo. Don't let your imagination run away with you." "I'm not imagining it," he insisted. "The vibrations coming off this hatch. They respond to us. Every time I move the drone closer, the pattern changes. The vibration's not past. I'm not imagining it. I'm not imagining it. I'm not imagining it." He insisted. "I'm not imagining it." Alina exchanged a glance with Rhea, who was gripping the side of her suit nervously. Even experienced divers felt the tension in the water. Something was in there, and it was aware of them. "All right," Alina said firmly. "We document everything first. Then we decide how to proceed. No sudden moves. We are here to observe, not to provoke." The team began scanning the hatch with all available equipment. Light sensors, sonar, and magnetic resonance scanners revealed nothing unusual except for the subtle vibrations. They were rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat, pulsing against the metal. Milo adjusted the sensors, trying to match the frequency. As he did, the knocking from earlier returned, soft at first, then louder. As if the ship recognized the rhythm. "It's communicating," Milo whispered. "I don't know with words, but it's responding to us." Alina studied the hatch. "Then, we observe. No direct contact. We don't know what we're dealing with yet." They began mapping the room, careful not to disturb any debris. Broken crates floated gently, water currents tugging at their suits. Milo's drone drifted closer to a corner, where strange shadows moved. The light revealed skeletal remains, scattered across the floor, yet positioned unnaturally, almost deliberately. The bones seemed arranged to guide the diver's eyes toward the center of the room, toward the hatch. "Someone, or something, set this up," Rhea murmured. Alina swallowed, trying to steady her voice. "Or the ship itself did. Stay alert. Observe every detail. Nothing here is random." The team moved closer to the hatch, documenting everything. Milo's drone hovered near a crack, sending live feed to the surface. Then, suddenly, the hatch pulsed. A wave of pressure ran through the water, pushing the divers backward. The knocking grew louder, faster, almost like it was angry. "Brace yourselves," Alina shouted, holding her position as the water twisted around them. The walls of the chamber shivered. Pieces of rusted metal floated upward, stirred by the force. Milo's drone tilted violently, lights flickering. It's alive," he said, awe and fear mingling in his voice. "No," Alina replied firmly. "Not alive, responsive. Don't confuse the two. Keep calm, everyone. Observe. Do not panic." The pulsating pressure continued for a few moments, then subsided as abruptly as it had begun. The room returned to stillness, but every diver knew that the encounter had changed something. Whatever was behind that hatch had acknowledged them, and it was not passive. "Captain," Rhea whispered, "do we open it? I mean, what if we can't handle what's inside?" Alina looked at her team, their suits reflecting the soft glow of their lights. Fear was natural, but so was curiosity. Humans survived by exploring the unknown. We proceed carefully. Observation first. But yes, we will eventually need to see what's inside. That's why we're here. Milo adjusted his instruments, analyzing the vibrations. If we can match the rhythm, maybe we can communicate with it, or at least calm it. Alina nodded. "Do it, Milo. But slowly. No sudden movements." He began altering the drone's pulse frequency, sending vibrations back to the hatch that mirrored the knocking pattern. The effect was immediate. The knocking slowed, became measured, almost like a heartbeat syncing with the drone. The divers watched in awe as the room seemed to relax. Even the currents softened, and the scattered debris settled. "It's listening," Milo said, voice barely above a whisper. "It's responding to our signal." Alina's heart raced. Humanity had encountered many mysteries, but this was different. This was a conscious presence in a place no human had survived before, and now, through ingenuity and careful observation, they were not only surviving, they were engaging with it. The divers took cautious steps forward, documenting every detail. The hatch now seemed less threatening, as if acknowledging their patience. Alina reached for her communicator, sending a calm report to the surface. "We are observing an unknown semi-conscious entity within the wreck. No direct contact yet. Proceeding with caution." Back on the surface, scientists watched the feed with bated breath. Instruments that had recorded only chaos during previous expeditions now showed stable readings. Humanity's combination of curiosity, bravery, and intellect had given them a chance where others had failed. Inside the chamber, Milo's drone continued its delicate vibrations. Suddenly, faint lights appeared on the hatch itself, soft, almost imperceptible glows, tracing strange patterns across the metal. The divers held their positions, astonished. "Captain." Milo's voice trembled. "It's responding visually now." "Iwo. Iwo." Alina studied the glowing symbols. They were not words, at least not in any language known to humanity. Yet the rhythm of their appearance mirrored the knocking. A realization struck her. This was communication. A form of interaction far beyond simple human understanding. "This isn't dangerous," Alina said quietly. "Not yet. But it is intelligent." Rhea glanced at her, eyes wide. "Intelligent and powerful." Alina nodded. "Exactly. That's why we have to be careful. And respectful. Every step we take must be measured. One mistake, and we could trigger a reaction we can't control." They continued observing the hatch, the vibrations and lights forming a pattern, almost like a puzzle. Milo adjusted the drone to mimic the rhythm more precisely. Slowly, the lights on the hatch shifted, as if acknowledging his attempts. A low hum began to resonate through the water. Soft but distinct, vibrating against their suits. "It's communicating through resonance," Milo said. "This is incredible. It's like music, but alive." Alina's mind raced. The implications were enormous. Humanity had encountered many unknowns, but this was an entity capable of perceiving, responding, and possibly understanding human intention. This was the kind of discovery that could change everything. As they worked, the divers noticed something else. Small fragments of debris moving gently in patterns, almost like they were being guided. Alina realized with growing excitement that the ship itself was arranging the environment to facilitate observation. It wasn't just a passive wreck, it was semi-conscious, interacting with them, testing their patience and intelligence. Hours passed as they studied the hatch. The divers became increasingly attuned to its signals. Milo's adjustments became more sophisticated, subtly guiding the responses of the glowing patterns and hums. The team began to feel a strange connection with the wreck, as if they were participating in a dialogue without words. Then, without warning, a panel in the hatch slid open slightly, revealing a dark passage beyond. The knocking ceased, replaced by a gentle, steady vibration. The divers hesitated, each understanding the weight of the moment. "This is it," Alina said softly. "Whatever is inside, we face it together. Stay close, follow protocol, and stay calm." The passage beyond the hatch was narrow, twisting downward into the depths of the ship. The walls glowed faintly from the reactions of the entity, illuminating symbols that seemed to guide their steps. Every movement had to be precise. The divers advanced slowly, careful not to disturb the delicate balance they had achieved. As they moved deeper, the chamber widened into a massive hall. Machinery, broken and rusted, floated in the water, yet aligned with an eerie precision. Milo's instruments detected energy readings far beyond anything expected from a sunken ship. This is impossible," Milo muttered. "The energy signatures, they shouldn't exist here." Alina's heart pounded. "It doesn't matter if it shouldn't exist. It does. And we're the first humans to witness it. Stay focused. Document everything." The divers pressed on, guided by the gentle vibrations and glowing symbols. They passed the remnants of the original crew, skeletal remains positioned almost ceremoniously, as if the ship itself had arranged them to lead the divers forward. It was a chilling sight, yet also a sign that the entity was aware of human behavior, perhaps even testing them. Finally, they reached the center of the hall. There, embedded in the ship's hull, was a strange artifact, pulsing softly with light and vibration. The knocking they had first heard seemed to originate from it, resonating through the chamber. Milo floated closer, awe in his eyes. "Captain, this is what the ship has been protecting. This artifact. It's alive." Alina studied it carefully. The artifact was unlike anything humanity had encountered. Its surface shimmered and shifted, almost like liquid metal. Yet it maintained form and presence. The vibrations were rhythmic, almost musical, interacting with their suits and the water around them. "It's intelligent," Alina whispered. "And it knows we're here. We have to be careful. Observation only. No sudden movements." The divers spent hours around the artifact, documenting its behavior and testing responses gently. The artifact seemed to recognize patience and calm, reacting favorably to careful observation. Any abrupt movement caused subtle surges in vibration, warning them to slow down. Finally, Alina floated back, taking in the scene. Her team was exhausted, but exhilarated. They had made first contact with something entirely unknown, relying on human patience, ingenuity, and courage. "This is just the beginning," she said softly. "We've survived where others failed. We've observed and learned. And now, we have a choice. How do we proceed?" The artifact pulsed gently, almost as if acknowledging her words. For the first time, the divers realized that the Erebus was not just a wreck, it was a test. And humanity had passed the first stage. The artifact pulsed softly in the center of the chamber, sending gentle vibrations through the water. Captain Alina Voss floated nearby, studying it intently. Milo's instruments were recording every detail, light patterns, vibrations, even subtle energy fluctuations that defied explanation. The divers had never seen anything like it. Humanity had encountered unknowns before, but nothing so deliberate, so intelligent. "This isn't just a piece of alien technology," Milo said quietly, awe in his voice. "It's semi-conscious. It knows we're here. It's testing us." Alina nodded, "And we've passed the first test." It responded to patience, observation, and careful thinking. But we're far from understanding it fully. We need to proceed carefully. Rhea swam closer to the artifact, her hand hovering near the shimmering surface. "It feels alive. Not dangerous yet. But there's something deliberate in the way it moves, in the way it reacts." Yes, Alina agreed. We have to respect that. This isn't just a discovery. It's an entity. How we interact with it matters. Milo adjusted the drone again, sending a pattern of vibrations that mirrored the artifact's pulses. The lights on its surface shifted in response, forming symbols that danced across its metallic skin. The divers realized that each symbol represented a subtle communication, a test of awareness and calm. Any abrupt movement caused the lights to shimmer chaotically, almost like a warning. This is incredible, Milo said. It's responding to thought and action, not just sound or vibration. It recognizes intention. Alina studied the artifact. Then we must be deliberate in everything we do. Every movement, every action is a part of the test. We survive through intelligence and patience, not force. They spent hours observing the artifact, mapping its responses and documenting its patterns. Each pulse and symbol seemed to correspond to a question or challenge, a subtle puzzle for the divers to solve. The longer they interacted, the more they realized that the artifact was teaching them, probing their minds, and observing their reactions. Suddenly, a vibration surged through the water, stronger than anything they had felt before. The lights on the artifact flashed intensely, illuminating the chamber in a brilliant glow. The divers were pushed back by the force, but Alina held her position, signaling the team to remain calm. "It's reacting to us," Milo shouted over the comms. "It's testing us directly now." Rhea gripped the railing, her eyes wide. But what is it testing? Courage? Intelligence? Morality? Alina considered it carefully. All of the above. It knows we're human. It knows what we're capable of. And it's measuring how we respond under pressure. Milo's drone floated closer, transmitting live images of the artifact's surface. Symbols shifted rapidly, forming intricate patterns that seemed to tell a story of the Erebus, the crew, and the artifact itself. The divers watched in silence, understanding only fragments, yet the meaning was clear. The artifact had been aboard the ship long before it sank, and its influence had shaped the fate of the original crew. "They didn't die randomly," Milo said softly. "They failed the test. They panicked. They didn't understand the entity they were dealing with." Alina's jaw tightened. "And we can succeed because we are cautious, intelligent, and united. That's human strength. That's what will keep us alive." The artifact pulsed again, and the vibrations spread through the chamber, creating a resonant hum that matched the diver's heartbeat. Milo adjusted the drone to synchronize with the pattern, and for the first time, the artifact's lights formed coherent symbols, almost like a doorway. "Captain," Milo said, voice trembling with excitement, "it's giving us a path, a way forward. We just have to follow it." Alina nodded. Carefully, every step matters. The divers advanced, guided by the glowing symbols. The chamber narrowed into a corridor lined with broken machinery and rusted walls, yet each step seemed deliberate, as if the ship itself were leading them deeper. The vibrations from the artifact continued, a gentle rhythm that seemed to calm the divers' nerves. "This is almost like a conversation," Rhea whispered. "But we can't understand it fully yet." Alina smiled faintly. "We don't need to understand it fully. We need to act wisely, observe carefully, and respect it. That's enough for now." As they progressed, they noticed signs of the original crew. Rusted equipment, broken tools, and skeletal remains were arranged in patterns, almost like a trail. Each piece seemed intentionally placed to guide them, to teach them something. The divers realized that the artifact's influence extended throughout the ship, shaping the environment to communicate with anyone brave enough to explore. "This is incredible," Milo murmured. "It's not just a wreck. It's a semi-conscious test of human ingenuity, patience, and courage. Whoever created this, or left it here, designed it to challenge intelligent life." Alina studied the trail. "And we are the first to pass the initial stages. That's human spirit. That's what makes us strong. Others panicked and failed. We observe, learn, and adapt. The corridor opened into a vast chamber at the heart of the ship. The artifact floated in the center, pulsing with light and energy. Surrounded by broken machinery that shimmered as if alive, the divers approached cautiously, each aware of the importance of their actions. Milo's instruments detected fluctuating energy fields surrounding the artifact, fields that responded to their presence and movements. The artifact seemed aware of their intentions, testing their focus, patience, and problem-solving skills. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from the artifact, sending the divers backward. The vibrations were stronger than ever, shaking the chamber and stirring the water into a chaotic whirl. Alina's heart pounded, but she steadied herself. "Stay calm," she shouted. "Do not panic. Observe and adapt." The divers held their positions, using their training and intellect to counter the force. Milo adjusted the drone to mirror the artifact's energy, creating a stabilizing rhythm. Slowly, the chaos subsided, and the chamber returned to its calm state. The artifact pulsed gently, almost as if acknowledging their control and intelligence. Alina understood. The artifact respected, calculated action, intelligence, and courage. Not brute force or fear. Humanity's ingenuity and composure had passed another stage of the test. "This is beyond anything we imagined," Milo said, awestruck. "It's testing every aspect of our humanity, our patience, our reasoning, even our moral judgment." Alina nodded. "And we're proving ourselves worthy. This is what makes humans extraordinary. We survive, adapt, and overcome. That's our strength. That's what the artifact recognizes." The artifact's lights shifted again, forming symbols that seemed to beckon the divers closer. Milo analyzed the patterns, realizing they indicated a safe path to interact directly with the artifact. Every movement had to be deliberate, every action intentional. Alina led the team forward, careful to match the rhythm of the artifact's pulses. The deeper they went, the more they realized that the Erebus itself was part of the entity. The ship had been shaped to guide, challenge, and teach those who entered its depths. The artifact was the heart, but the entire wreck was the medium of communication. As they approached, Milo reached out with the drone, sending vibrations that mirrored the artifact's signals. The artifact responded immediately, pulsing with greater intensity and emitting a gentle hum that resonated through the water. The divers felt a strange sense of connection, as if the entity recognized them, not as intruders but as worthy explorers. Rhea floated closer, eyes wide with wonder. "It's acknowledging us. It's alive in a way we can interact with." Alina nodded. "It's responding to intelligence, courage, and respect. That's human strength. That's what has brought us here." Hours passed as the divers continued their careful interaction. They learned the artifact's subtle patterns, anticipating its vibrations and understanding its rhythms. It became clear that the artifact was not hostile, but it demanded respect, patience, and intelligence. Those who panicked or acted recklessly would trigger defensive reactions. Suddenly, the artifact pulsed more strongly than ever before, and the vibrations spread throughout the chamber. The divers felt it not only through their suits but in their own bodies, a deep resonance that connected them to the entity. Milo's instruments recorded data that would take years to fully understand. But even in that moment, the divers knew they were witnessing something extraordinary. This is more than technology," Milo said softly. "It's a living, intelligent force, and we're interacting with it successfully. Humanity, we're capable of this. This is proof." Alina smiled faintly. "Exactly. This is why we explore, why we push boundaries. Our courage, intelligence, and patience are our greatest strengths. That's what the artifact sees. That's why it allows us to continue." The artifact pulsed gently, almost as if it were acknowledging Alina's words. For the first time, the divers understood that the Erebus was not just a wreck, it was a semi-conscious challenge, a test of humanity's qualities. The original crew had failed, But these divers, through intelligence, courage, and teamwork, had passed. Alina took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. We've come far, team. We've observed, we've learned, and we've survived. But the greatest test is still ahead. We must continue to act wisely and respect what we don't yet understand. The divers nodded, their resolve strengthened. Humanity had faced countless unknowns before. But this was unlike anything they had ever encountered, and they had survived, not through weapons or brute force, but through the qualities that defined them as human. The artifact pulsed once more. A soft, rhythmic glow filling the chamber. It seemed to recognize their achievements, acknowledging the human spirit that had brought them this far. The Erebus was no longer a place of death and mystery. It was a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and intelligence, a challenge that humanity had met head-on. The artifact pulsed gently in the center of the chamber, bathing the divers in soft light. Captain Alina Voss floated carefully, observing its patterns. Every vibration, every pulse seemed deliberate, as if the artifact were aware not only of their presence, but of their intentions. Milo adjusted the drone, matching its vibrations to the artifact's rhythm, creating a delicate harmony. "This is it," Milo said, voice tense with excitement and awe. "This is the core of the ship's intelligence. Everything we've seen so far leads to this point." Alina nodded. "And we have to handle it carefully. One wrong move, and we could trigger a reaction we can't control. Observation is one thing. Interaction is another." Rhea floated closer, studying the artifact with wide eyes. "Captain, it's responding to us. It's almost like it's alive, not just intelligent, but aware. It's testing our resolve, our intelligence, and our courage." "Yes," Alina said. "And humanity has passed the first stages. But now comes the greatest challenge. We must proceed carefully. But we must act. The artifact needs to be brought to the surface for study. That is our mission." "Act." The divers began preparations. They arranged support beams, calculated the currents, and coordinated their movements. Every action was deliberate, every motion synchronized. The artifact pulsed in response, almost as if approving their careful planning. Milo hovered the drone closer, sending precise vibrations. The artifact responded with glowing patterns that illuminated the chamber like a map, showing a possible path to lift it safely. Alina studied the layout, noting structural weaknesses and potential hazards. "This path seems clear," she said, "but we cannot rush. Patience and precision are key." The team moved together, following the artifact's glowing guidance. The corridors were narrow and filled with debris, remnants of the ship's long decay. Broken machinery floated in the water, rusted but strangely organized. Every step had to be careful, or the artifact might respond defensively. As they progressed, the artifact pulsed more strongly. Vibrations ran through the chamber, spreading outward like ripples. Milo's instruments picked up energy surges far beyond anything they had anticipated. "It's testing us again," Milo said. "We're moving too fast. We need to synchronize with its pulses." Alina held up a hand. "Everyone stop. Wait for the next pulse. Observe and respond." The divers floated in tense silence, aligning their movements with the artifact's rhythm. The vibrations pulsed, then slowed, then accelerated again, guiding them like a living metronome. The divers moved in perfect harmony, advancing carefully, every motion deliberate. Finally, they reached the central lift point, a reinforced section of the hull designed to support the artifact's removal. Milo's drone hovered above, transmitting live readings to the surface. "This is it," Milo said softly. "We coordinate perfectly, and we can lift it without triggering any defensive response." Alina nodded. "Team, this is the final test. We follow the artifact's guidance exactly. Stay calm, stay focused, and stay together." They began the lifting procedure. Support beams were attached, energy readings monitored, and the artifact pulsed in harmony with their actions. Every movement was synchronized with the vibrations and glowing patterns. It was delicate work, and one wrong step could have disastrous consequences. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from the artifact. The water churned violently, tossing the divers and their equipment. Milo's drone spun wildly, lights flickering. "Hold your positions," Alina shouted. "Do not panic. Focus on the pattern. Match the pulses." The divers worked together, adjusting the support beams and realigning their movements with the artifact's vibrations. Slowly, the surge subsided. The artifact pulsed softly, almost approving their coordinated response. "That was close," Rhea said, catching her breath. "I thought it was going to throw us back into the wreck." Alina nodded. "It's testing resilience, teamwork, and intelligence. We've passed another stage. Now we continue carefully." The divers pressed on, moving the artifact through the winding corridors. Rusted metal groaned under the pressure of their movements, and broken machinery threatened to shift at any moment. Yet the artifact's guidance was precise, showing them where to step, where to attach supports, and where to avoid. Hours passed as they navigated the wreck, their progress slow but steady. The artifact pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat, synchronizing with their movements. Milo monitored the energy readings, ensuring that the artifact remained stable throughout the journey. Finally, they reached the ship's outer hull. The ocean beyond stretched endlessly, dark and mysterious. But the path was clear. The artifact's pulses strengthened, guiding them toward the surface. "This is it," Alina said. "Final lift. Everyone stay focused. Precision and patience are everything." The divers began the lift. Support beams flexed under the weight, the artifact's vibrations pulsing in harmony with their movements. Milo's drone hovered nearby, sending real-time data to the surface, while Rhea monitored the currents, ensuring the path remained safe. Suddenly, the artifact pulsed violently, sending a shock through the water. Currents twisted unpredictably, and debris floated toward the divers. Milo shouted over the comms, "It's resisting! Wait for the next pulse!" Alina gritted her teeth. "Everyone hold! Do not force it! Match its rhythm." The divers waited, aligning themselves with the artifact's pulses. When the vibration slowed, they moved carefully, lifting the artifact in perfect synchronization. Slowly, the chaos subsided, and the path to the surface became stable. The divers moved steadily, the artifact pulsing softly as they ascended. The pressure decreased, the water grew lighter, and the sunlight began to filter through the depths. For the first time, the divers felt the freedom of the open ocean again, yet their focus never wavered. As they neared the surface, Milo's instruments detected a final surge from the artifact, a strong pulse that rippled through the water. The divers held their positions, waiting for the pulse to subside. Slowly, it faded, leaving a calm, steady vibration. "We made it," Milo whispered, disbelief and awe in his voice. "It's stable. It responded perfectly to our actions. We've done it." Alina smiled, relief washing over her. "Yes. Humanity has passed the final stage. Courage, intelligence, patience, and teamwork, these are what allowed us to succeed." They guided the artifact onto the surface platform, securing it safely. Scientists and engineers on the research vessel monitored every detail, astonished at the divers' achievement. The artifact pulsed gently, almost as if acknowledging the humans who had braved the depths to bring it safely to the surface. Back in the chamber, Milo floated nearby, observing the artifact one last time. "Captain, it's incredible. It's alive in a way we can interact with, and we've proven ourselves worthy. Humanity, we've achieved something extraordinary." Alina nodded. "We have, and this is only the beginning. The artifact represents knowledge far beyond our current understanding. But it also shows what humans are capable of: courage, ingenuity, and resilience in the face of the unknown." Rhea watched the artifact with awe. "It's beautiful and powerful, It could change everything about how we understand the universe. Yes, Alina agreed. But we must continue to approach it with respect. Intelligence like this demands careful study, not reckless interference. And humanity has already shown it can rise to the challenge. The divers stood together, united in triumph. They had faced the unknown, passed the tests of the Erebus, and retrieved an artifact of unimaginable significance. Yet the greatest victory was not the artifact itself, it was the proof of human spirit, intelligence, and courage. The scientists on the surface prepared to study the artifact in a controlled environment. Every measurement, every observation confirmed what the divers had already known. This was a technology, or perhaps a being, far beyond anything humanity had encountered, yet it had acknowledged human ingenuity and allowed them to succeed. Alina gazed at the artifact, her mind racing with possibilities. We have survived where others failed. We have interacted with intelligence beyond our understanding. And we have proven that humanity can face the unknown with courage, patience, and wisdom. Milo floated beside her. Captain, do you think the original crew would have survived if they approached it like us? Alina shook her head. No. They panicked. They didn't understand. But we did. That's what makes us human. Our ability to adapt, to learn, and to persevere. The artifact pulsed softly, almost as if responding to her words. The divers felt a strange sense of connection, a bond with the entity they had discovered. It was more than technology, it was a living challenge, a measure of what humans were capable of achieving. As the sun reflected on the surface of the ocean, the divers knew their journey was complete. They had faced the unknown, survived the tests of intelligence and courage, and emerged victorious. Humanity had proven itself worthy, not through force or weapons, but through the qualities that defined them. Patience, ingenuity, and courage. The Erebus and its artifact would remain a testament to human resilience, a story of discovery and triumph that would inspire generations to come. The ocean had given up its secret, and humans had risen to the challenge, proving that even in the most mysterious and dangerous places, the human spirit could prevail. Alina watched the artifact being secured for study, a sense of pride and accomplishment filling her. We've done more than retrieve this artifact, she said softly. We've shown the universe what humans are capable of. And this is only the beginning. The divers looked at each other, exhaustion mixed with exhilaration. They had faced the unknown, and through courage, intelligence, and careful action, they had succeeded where others had failed. The artifact pulsed gently, a reminder of the bond they had forged with something beyond human understanding. Humanity had triumphed. The unknown had been confronted, studied, and respected, and the human spirit had shone brighter than ever in the depths of the ocean.